Okay, good afternoon. Welcome everyone to today's webinar, Advanced Features of Microsoft Teams Enabling Remote Collaboration. Thank you for taking time to join us. Today's session is being recorded and will be made available on demand within 24 hours on the Anders YouTube channel. So let's talk about today's presenters. So my name is Dave Hartley. I'm a partner and director of advisory services for Anders. I will be presenting and also facilitating the session today. Katie Young, who is a member of our technology team, does a lot of technology training specifically with the Microsoft suite. Katie will be walking through the bulk of the materials today, and we'll go through the agenda in just a second. Julie Dyan is a solutions architect in the technology team. Julie's specialization is in the Microsoft suite, as well as cloud solutions and applications for productivity. A quick look at a reminder, this is part of, today is part 2 of our 2-part webinar series. Last week we hosted a session, Intro to Work from Home Collaboration with Microsoft Teams. That session has been recorded and is available on the Anders YouTube channel for you to check it out there. Today's session is also being recorded and will be posted there within 24 hours. You'll also have the opportunity to download the slides via the chat function at the end of today's webinar. So a quick note about our relationship with Microsoft. Anders is a Microsoft Gold partner, specifically in the cloud platform, cloud productivity, and small and mid-market cloud solution space. In addition, we're also a Silver partner for enterprise mobility management and data analytics. So whatever your needs are as it relates to working with Microsoft products, we can help you solve your business issues with those. So a quick look at our agenda for today. I'm going to start out with just a couple of quick comments about opportunities that we're seeing in today's market that relate to Microsoft Teams and we think are critical for businesses to be thinking about. And certainly there are challenges, but we also think there are opportunities as well. Then Katie's going to take over and she's actually going to dive into Microsoft Teams and show us some of the functionality. Her remarks are going to be broken into 4 sections: customize and organize, security, which is incredibly important nowadays, new features that Microsoft is introducing, as well as she's going to show you the Teams mobile app, which can be significant and powerful for keeping employees engaged remotely. Then Julie's going to talk about some governance questions and some use cases and things that you also should be thinking about, and then I will wrap it up at the end. So with that, let's talk about the 2 opportunities that I mentioned before. The first is an opportunity for competitive differentiation. Many of our clients have been struggling in terms of how do we differentiate the services and the products that we're providing relative to our competition. Well, one of the things that we believe is that how your business responds in the next 30 days is going to be critical to that competitive positioning in the market. For example, some of the things that we think you should be thinking about as you make this shift from office productivity to work from home productivity, how are you going to keep your employees engaged and productive during that time? One of the things that we believe is that communication is absolutely key, and Microsoft Teams can be a big part of that communication with your employees. In addition, all of us are probably pivoting our business as it relates to how the products we're offering, how we're treating customers, and we're going to have to make some hard decisions. As we do that going forward, how do you make sure that you keep your employees informed and supportive of the changes that are going to be happening in your business? And then finally, thinking about how do you engage with your customers and with your employees. I think we all have to challenge, given over the last week that we've all received hundreds of emails from every business that we have done business with, every store that I've shopped at. And so as a result of that, I think we're seeing a lot of people tune out email. So in terms of that being a method for you to communicate, email is going to be more challenging. And so I think from the standpoint of looking at and understanding how Microsoft Teams can be part of your solution of how you communicate, how you get your value proposition out and communicate what your business is doing in a way that is relevant and actually can be consumed by your customers and employees. So that's the first opportunity. The second opportunity is a little bit different. When you look at these times of what we're going through now, all of us are sharing a common experience, and it's not a fun experience. But we're all going to remember these times and some of the uncertainty that we have right now for many years to come. As a result of that, and the shift from the way that we were doing business to now the new normal, there's going to be a lot of opportunities to both deepen and improve your relationship. So, for example, when you look at all the presenters today, we're all going to be presenting from our homes. So I'm in my home office. So there's the possibility that the FedEx guy could knock on the door. There's the possibility the dogs could start barking. My kids could wander in. I mean, any of those types of things could happen. So you're seeing probably a side of me and a side of others that you may not get to see when you just see people in the office. So I think this whole opportunity to do video chats with people in their homes, I think is an interesting opportunity to learn things about people that you've never been exposed to before. Flexibility is going to be important. There's going to be people that will need to shift hours because of kids' responsibilities. Teams can do that. Teams can show you who is online, who is available, and you can make sure that you can stay connected. There are other things that you can do where you can have fun with your employees and try to help them cope through these difficult times. So, for example, one of the things that Katie often does as part of her CIE trainings is gift battles, where she'll ask people to post gifts on how they're feeling that day. And I think you can learn a lot from a lot of people, just in terms of their sense of humor and what are the things that they find important. We at Anders are looking at doing other things in terms of virtual happy hours with our employees, virtual lunch meetings where we have everybody bring their lunch and we just chat about everything but business over lunch. In addition, a lot of people, pets are very important to their lives. I have 2 dogs and a cat. And when I show people, whenever my cat comes into the frame as part of any of the video conferences, people learn a little bit more about me and what my family's like, my home is like, all those types of things. So that's a pretty unique opportunity that we have now. Teams can be one of the tools that you can quickly mobilize your business, and then also have this opportunity to focus on these relationships, figure out how you stay connected, and even deepen your connection with others. So a little bit about Microsoft Teams in terms of why is it the focus of our conversation today. So Teams is the digital cloud-based collaboration platform that is already built into the Office 365 suite. Enables you to communicate, collaborate, and share knowledge with anybody, anywhere, at any time inside your organization and also outside your organization if you have enabled the security settings for that. If you're already an Office 365 subscriber, you likely have Teams already as part of your subscription. If you're not an Office 365 subscriber yet, Microsoft is offering it free for 6 months as part of their contributions to help the community. So with that, I'm going to transition it over to Katie, who's going to show us and actually go into Teams, talk to us about some of the features that are there. As Katie goes through her remarks, if you do have questions, feel free to open the chat and post questions there. Julie and I will both be monitoring the chat and answering questions as they surface. So with that, Katie, I will turn it over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Advanced Team Features. And Dave just mentioned our chat feature. That is the little bubble over here. And if you click on that, we'll open that up. I am not going to be able to see chat as I'm navigating between screens, but both Dave and Julie will be responding to any of your questions. And really quickly here, I'm going to show you another important feature within Teams, and I'm going to go ahead and mute everyone. That is something as a presenter you're going to want to do just to make sure that we don't get any feedback. And bear with me while Teams struggles for just a half a second here. All right, so we're going to mute all this morning. Okay, so now that I have everybody muted and I've got the floor, we're going to begin our tour of some advanced features of Teams this afternoon. We're going to take a look at how you can customize your settings in Teams, and organize your teams. We're also going to take a look at some security settings, pretty much based around members and how we can limit the permissions of our members so that they only see the information that they need to access. We're also going to take a look at some new features. And I do want to point out that this is Teams' 3-year-old birthday month. So Teams is turning 3 this month, and they are constantly rolling out new features. It is still a newer application, and Microsoft is listening to what its users are responding with and new features that are requested. So new features are rolling out all the time, and we're going to take a look at 3 of those. And then we're going to move into the mobile app, and I'm going to show you what the mobile app looks like if you haven't used it yet, and how easy that is to use. And I also do want to note that there's quite a few features in Teams, and as Dave mentioned, we do offer on-site training, which is hands-on review of Teams, and we actually customize the experience to what you want to review. We let you customize your roadmap so that we can go in and cover some of the applications that integrate within Teams, as well as a good review of most of the features. And you get that hands-on experience, which I don't know about you, but when I'm actually hands-on doing something, I learn quite a bit better. So moving in to our first topic today, which is customizing some of our options. One of the first things we're going to look at is our status. So I'm going to click on my profile picture up here. And if you look at my status, you can see that I am currently presenting. This is actually syncing with Teams and with your Outlook calendar. So your status is constantly going to update depending on what you're doing within Teams and with what you're doing on your Outlook calendar. I also have a manual status that I set for working from home. And now in this time, most of us are working from home, so maybe we assume that people are at home. But as we move into the future, working remotely may be on a day-to-day basis. You want to let people know that you're in the office or not in the office by setting your status. We can also edit our status right here. And one thing that I like to try to do whenever I go to lunch while I'm working from home is mark that I am at lunch, because somebody can't walk over to my desk and see that I'm not there. This is kind of the same thing where I'm noting that I'm at lunch so that people know that I'm not avoiding them and that I'm taking a personal moment to get some food. All right, I can also check this box so that this status will show when people message me. And I can choose to clear the status after a certain amount of time. All right, so we're going to leave me at working from home. And then I want to note here that we also have a settings option. So I'm going to click in on settings. And then Julie, if you don't mind muting people as they join. I hear just a little bit of feedback right now. All right, so we have our different options here where you can kind of customize the look of Teams. A lot of people like dark. You can change that just by clicking on that. I prefer the lighter settings, so I'm going to leave that here. So the thing I want to draw your attention to right now is notifications. These you want to make sure to customize to whatever you would like. Right now you can see that I have my notifications turned off for chat messages. So I actually don't want any of my chats to pop up. And if you drop this down, if you do want your chats to pop up, that's going to be the banner and email. I'm sorry, just banner is going to be the pop-up. I also have the option to set an and email, and this will allow me to set it up where I'm going to get an email for missed notifications. It looks like I may not be sharing my screen anymore, so let me pop that up again. All right, so to point that back out, we're up here on my profile picture, and we are on settings. I'll give that a second to pull up. Minimize that. I apologize. Things are running just a little bit slow. Might be my internet connection here at home. That's some of the stuff that Dave was talking about today. Is it's just going to be a daily, constant, different situation than what we have in the office. Here we go. At least I put myself in my attic this morning, so you won't see my cat running across the table, and he won't be typing for me. But all right, so we're going to open up settings. Here we go. All right, so here's the themes I was talking about, and here's our notifications. And I have these notifications again turned off because I don't want them to pull up while I'm presenting. But if I click this drop down, you can see that I can receive banner pop-ups if I'd like. I can also change that to a banner in an email, and the email is for missed activities. And if you see down here under other, we have missed activity emails. And I can receive a missed activity email. I can set how often that comes through. I have mine set to once every hour. So that's just if I haven't seen a chat come through, or if I haven't clicked in on a notification, I'll receive that email. All right, so we're going to move away from notifications now. And we're going to take a look at notifications that you can set up on a specific channel. So I'm going to click in on the general channel of Teams is Great. And in the last training, I mentioned that you actually have to type an @ sign to mention someone. And if you don't mention them in this conversation under the Post tab, then they're not going to receive a notification regarding the message. Now, there may be times where you need to stay up to date with everything that's happening in a channel because you need to be on top of it. So in order to do that and to make sure that you're not missed and not mentioned, you can go ahead and follow the channel through channel notifications. So all I've done is click on the 3 dots here next to that channel, and I have channel notifications. And here you can see that all new posts notify me every time there's a new post. That's automatically defaulted to off because not under every single channel are we going to want to know when somebody posts something. It's only when we really need to stay up to date with what is happening in that channel. So I'm going to drop that down, and I can change this so that I'm going to receive a pop-up, and then I'm going to receive a notification in my activity feed. So I can change that setting if I want to. And then if I do choose to receive that notification, I can also choose to receive notifications on replies. So we're going to hit save. And it's as easy as that to follow a channel and make sure that you don't miss anything that's going on in there. If I click on these 3 little dots again, something that I'm going to point out to you is the fact that we have pin and unpin. So I had that channel already pinned to the top. So right here, if I click on this pin, again, it's going to pop up here to the top. So if I have a list of quite a few teams that I'm working with, no longer do I have to click in on that team and find that channel. That channel is pinned to the top because I'm using this channel all the time and I need to quickly be able to access it. And again, all I have to do is unpin to move that back down. The other thing that I can do is I can actually left click on a team and hold, and I can drag and reorder. So I can reorder my teams to anything I would like. All right, so we're going to go back in here. And another way that we can organize our teams a bit is through this gear down here at the bottom. And I'm going to pop open a screenshot that I took of that. So if I click in on this gear, it's going to give me a list of all of my teams. You can see I have 102 teams that I'm on. I don't want all of those teams showing up under your teams. I don't use all of those teams on a daily basis. These 4 teams are the ones that I'm using on a daily basis, so I have those selected. Now you only see 3 over here because I did hide some of my teams. These are some of our internal ones. And if you notice over here on the far right, the way I can hide some of these teams very quickly at a click is this little eye. So if I want it to be shown over here on the left, I simply select that little eyeball. If I don't want it to be shown, I'm just going to click in on that and hide those. So of these 3 teams, Anders Technology is the only one that shows over here on the side. And then I want to call your attention to the 3 little dots next to the team. I'm going to reference another screenshot I took. So these options, if I click on the three little dots over here, are also available except for archive teams. If I want to access archive teams, I do need to go to the gear and then click on the three dots next to the team there. So archiving teams allows you to save the information of the team for historical reference, but it's going to hide it for all members. Members no longer will see that in their teams list. So it's going to clean up things. So you do have to be an owner in order to archive a team, but you can just do that through the gear in order to clean up some of the teams for your members if you're not actively using that team anymore. If you want to unarchive it, you still will have that team in your lists, and you can simply go back in and unarchive the team. All right, and now we're going to take a look at a way to organize our activities. So as we're working from home, we may find that we're getting more notifications up here for activities. And if I've been given something to do or mentioned in a conversation on a team, I'm going to have a little bubble, red bubble pop up here. I've stayed on top of my activities today, so you don't see that red bubble. But occasionally I get enough activities that I click in and view those activities, but I don't actually have time to follow up on them at that moment. So something that I do with an email when I don't have a time to follow up on an email right away is I mark it as unread so that I know that I haven't completed a task yet. I can do that with my activities. Oh, I have a feeling Julie did that for me, which is very nice of her. See my activity pop up there. So that means I have an activity I haven't followed up on yet. At any rate, once I click in on that activity, if I right click on it, I can mark it as unread again. So this kind of notifies me that I still need to act on this activity. I then have a filter icon here, and if I click on that filter, I can pull up all these different options to filter by. And you notice here at the top, the filter option is unread. So if I'm getting a ton of activities and I've marked them as unread, there is a possibility that they may fall off of this list over here. Well, I can bring them all back up to the top by clicking on this unread. I can also filter by any of these other options, and I can type in a word or a phrase to filter by that as well. All right, so now we're going to move into some permission limitations that you can put on members to secure the conversations that you're having, the files that you're having, when members don't maybe need to see everything. But this way, we don't actually have to create another new team. We can just limit what members are able to do. So one way that we can limit member permissions, and if you are the owner of a team, after you create a team, you should go in and double check these permissions to make sure that they are set the way that you want. So I've clicked on the three dots next to the team, and I'm going to go into Manage Team. All right, so I've got my members listed here, and I've got some other tabs up here. The tab I want you to look, or we're going to look at today, is Settings. So I pulled up Settings, and I've got quite a few different settings here that I can go ahead and change. I can add a picture and quite a few other things. I'm going to look, though, right now at member permissions. So we can see there's quite a few permissions that members by default already have. If you want to limit these permissions, make sure to go in here and review them and uncheck any permission that you don't want a member to have. Another thing that we can do is if we have a team created and there's certain members that we don't want to be able to access files or access a chat about something, we want to kind of break out a conversation and remove a few members from that because they don't need access to it. We can actually create a private channel. So if I click on the three dots next to this team, and then I go to Add Channel, right here I have a privacy setting, and I can choose to set that channel to private, accessible to only a specific group of people. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And sorry, Dave, I'm just going to name this No Dave. So another thing that you can do is you can name the channel whatever it is that you're going to be working on. And if there's only a few members that are in the channel, you can actually put their name in here. So Julie is a member. So I'm going to go ahead and go with next. And now it's going to ask me who I want to be on that private team. I'm sorry, private channel. So I'm going to add Julie to that private channel and no Dave. Sorry, Dave. So we're going to go ahead, click done. And now Dave isn't going to even see that this channel exists. Julie will be able to access it, and we see this little lock here, which is indicating that it is in fact a private channel. So now only Julie can access the files and everything under this channel. So now I don't have to create a whole nother team. I can limit access simply by creating a private channel. Now, one thing to note is once you create a channel, you cannot change it to private. You have to do it during the initial creation of the channel. Also, anybody that's been added to the channel cannot be removed from the channel. They will actually have to be removed from the entire team. You could do that and then re-add them back to the team, and they won't have access to the channel anymore. The other thing is you can add members to the channel. So I can add. I just can't just go in and remove them, and I need to make this a private channel immediately from the beginning. Oh, and it looks like, Julie, I think you may have shared out your screen there. So let me go ahead and get my screen moved back up. Okay. So let me get back in here. All right, so let me go back into Teams. Okay, there we go. All right, we got that popped up. And we've looked at how we can create a private channel. So now we're going to move on to setting permissions on actual files. So let's say that there's just a specific file that you don't want everybody to be able to access. And so we don't want to, again, just go ahead and create a whole new team for this file. We just want to go ahead and limit the permissions on this particular file. So I've got the three little dots here next to my file name, and I can open this in SharePoint. So SharePoint is actually running in the background of Teams. And this is how I'm going to go in and limit permissions on that file. So I've already got that open. So here's SharePoint in the background. And I've got three dots again next to my file's name here. And I have Manage Access. Okay, so we've got this pulled up, and you can see our owners here. The owners of the team, I cannot limit their permissions on the file. So if you need to make it so that they cannot see the file, you're going to need to change them from an owner to a member. Then we have here visitors, which are people external to your company, if they've been allowed to join the team, and that's a setting through the admin center that you would have to allow for visitors to join. We have members here. So this is everybody internally that has access to that channel. And right now, everybody who has access to that channel can edit that file. And I want to change that. I want to change it to can view, but cannot edit. Just a click of the button. I can also stop sharing that so that only the owners are going to have access to that document. So we're going to change that. And it's as easy as that to limit access to a file. So again, you don't have to create a whole new team surrounding that file. You can just limit the access to that actual file. And now we are going to take a look at some new features. So one new feature in Teams is group tags. And again, if we go back to posts, we know that we have to type @ to mention. And I can actually type @ and mention the entire team. And then I can type @ to mention an individual. But let's say that I have 50 people on a team and I'm actively working on something with 10 people. I don't want to keep mentioning and type out all 10 people's name. Now I have an option to create a group for those 10 people. And all I'll have to do is create a tag, and then I can tag them. So to do that, I'm going to do that on the team level, the three dots here. And you do have to be an owner in order to be able to manage tags. If you're an owner, you'll see this option right here. So we're going to go and manage tags. So I've got a couple tags already created. So you can see here that Dave and Julie are added to that one. And I can edit the name if I need to. I'm not very creative this morning, so I apologize. So it was as easy as that to change the tag name. And if I go back in here to the three dots and I actually go out to manage my team, I have my members pulled up. You can see all the tags that they're added to. And it does say that notifying a group of people all at once by mentioning a tag. All right, so I can add tags by just clicking in here and selecting a tag that's already been created, or I can create a brand new tag by typing it in there and then adding individuals to that tag. So I've got a test tag and this is a tag. So I'm going to go back out to my general channel, and if I type that, this is a tag. Here we go. So I would be tagging those two people. So this just makes it easier so you don't have to type out 5 or 6, 10 people. You can just create a group for them if you're going to be using them as an @mention often, and this will make your life a little bit easier. Then we have another new feature, or newer feature. It's been out for a few months and you may or may not have noticed it. It is a way to move emails into Teams. So on my team, I have my post tab here. And the post tab is a great way to keep all your conversations regarding what work you're doing centralized on the channel that is regarding the information that you're working on. So to keep everything centralized, a lot of times we say, hey, don't email, make sure to post on the conversations tab or the posts tab. Now, sometimes people still go ahead and email. So I can now move those emails into my posts. Or if I'm working with a client and I've been emailing back and forth with a client and I want to put that information here on the Teams channel, I can do that now by clicking on the 3 dots here. And I do this on the channel level. Every single channel has an email address now. So I can get the email address and I'm going to copy that. And now we're going to open up our email here. And all I have to do is click forward. And I can paste in my email address for my channel. And I can type in a message if I want and hit send. So now this is going to be sent to the channel. I did this earlier. It does take a few seconds to come through. So I did want to go ahead and add this in already. So this was the email that I forwarded earlier. Oh, look, that was actually pretty quick. Here's the one that I just forwarded. So now the email is in the posts tab and the conversation that was out in email is now centralized to the team so that everybody can access it. All right, so that's one of the newer features, moving emails to Teams. And one of the newer features that you probably don't have yet, but we have, because we're pretty cool and we happen to be have a gold partnership with Microsoft. So we actually have the ability to pop out our chats. So right here, straight from my chats, if I hover over these chats, I have the ability to pop them out. So you see this little box with an arrow pointing out. I'm going to pop my chat out. So this way now I have my Teams open and I can continue to navigate through Teams. And I have this chat, which if you have 2 screens, you can move this chat over to that screen, continue your chat while you're still working on something else within Teams. So I did that straight from that little pop out here. But if I click in on Julie here, I also have the ability to pop out the chat from inside of the chat. So cool new feature there. So now we're actually going to move into the mobile application. So I can do a screen share through there and have you take a look at how the features that are here inside the desktop are available to you on your mobile phone. So one thing that I'm going to do, because I'm actually going to stay joined here on my desktop while I'm joining on my mobile phone, is I need to make sure that if I join on 2 devices, that I have everything muted on one device. Otherwise, if I'm in the same room, I'm going to get some feedback. So I am going to mute my speaker, and then I am going to mute my microphone. So bear with me a second while I do that. All right, everyone. So now I am in on my phone. And I'm going to go ahead and do a screen share straight from my phone. Okay, here we go. So now we can see my screen. So before I had my mouse, so I was able to kind of point where I was navigating within here. So no longer do I have a mouse, so I'm just going to kind of direct you to look in different areas as we're moving through. So up here at the top, if I click on that, so let's see here. All right, so we can see our Teams webinar 2, and I have a back arrow. So I'm going to click on this back arrow to navigate back out to Teams. And right now I am in my calendar. So you can see here, I've got all my meetings in here, and I can easily join a Teams meeting straight from my phone by clicking on join. Then if you look down at the bottom of the phone, there are the different icons that were inside of your desktop application are all still there. I have my Teams, I have my chat, and I can click in on chat. And the nice thing about this is I don't actually have to text anybody. I can just send them a chat so that they'll be notified on their phone. Then I also have my activities, so I can pull those up. I'm not going to pop that open right now. I am going to move up to the top left corner where there are 3 bars, and I'm going to click on that. So there are also notifications in your mobile app that need to be set up. One of these are quiet hours. So between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m., I am logged off. I don't want to receive any more notification between those hours. So you can customize that to whatever you'd like. You can also turn on quiet days. So you could do Saturday and Sunday. If you don't want to receive notifications, you can set those up. So I'm going to back out of this. I also have check marked here only to use the app when I'm inactive on my desktop. And you do see in some smaller text below that you are considered inactive on your desktop after 3 minutes. So you're going to get notifications on your phone pretty quickly if you've moved off of your desktop. Then I also have configure notifications. So I have a whole list of notifications I can configure, and I can turn on and off. So I would suggest going in there and turning these on and off to customize your app notifications in whatever way you would like. All right, so that is our mobile app, extremely easy to access and use. So we've kind of reviewed how to customize our settings and organize our teams. We've looked at some security features, especially around members, so that we can continue to have everything within a team. We can just set member permissions. We've also looked at some new features of group tags, moving emails to teams, and popping out chats. And now we've taken a look at our mobile application and how easy it is to use. So now I'm going to go ahead and turn the floor over to Julie, who's going to go over governance of teams, use cases, and then she's going to open up the floor for questions.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Katie. I'm going to give her a second to flip back over to the slides as well. But in the meantime, I am going to get started with the last part is talking about governing and managing your teams. As of today, Microsoft allows for organizations to have up to 500,000 teams, and in those teams, up to 200 channels per team. So that's a lot of collaboration that can happen within your whole entire organization. Thinking about that many teams, a lot of customers come to us and ask, how can they help manage them and what are best practices around? So we have our companies broken out into 2 different sizes, small and large, and this is based on our experiences working with our customers. For smaller businesses, we recommend allowing Microsoft's generic recommendation of allowing all users to create groups. Like Microsoft says, allow everyone, let your employees work as they would like to work. Don't hinder their teams and their growth into collaboration by setting rules on who can create group teams and who cannot. One of the things we want to suggest is to remind all your employees to search for a team first. And if they are going to create a new team, to always use the description field, because nothing's worse than coming to a team 6 months after you creating it and wondering why you did and what it was used for, because there might not be any chats or documents in it. If you're going to create a channel, you want to create a channel, especially when it's going to be used with the exact same group. We get into situations where we have a lot of duplicate teams out there that is just one person off. So if you think about before you create a team, who's involved? Are all of those individuals already involved in a different team already? And if they are, does it make sense to just make a private channel with the limited number of people? And then speaking of private channels, as Katie showed in that session, in that area, I always do a naming convention of who are the individuals involved in the channel, because once you get into a team that has 20 different channels, it gets difficult to remember who is in which private channel, especially if you don't have good naming conventions. And the biggest thing is archiving a team once they are no longer needed. For our larger businesses, we recommend creating a security group for all users who are allowed to create a team. So if you decide certain members of each group inside your organization can create a team, it's best to create one security group so you know who are all the members. And that way you can create meetings with this group and policies and procedures. You want to decide as an organization, what are your naming conventions and what type of information do you require in the description field? Once you have your policies set, you want to train your power users to understanding what your standards are and make sure that they follow these standards when they are creating new teams and groups. The next one is expiration policies. You can allow your teams to be automatically deleted in the future. So an example of an expiration policy is you can set it so that after 1 year, the retention policy would say after no activity for 1 year, the team would become archived. And then the next retention policy would be 5 years. So you can set it so 5 years after that 1 year, it gets deleted. You can also set up notifications that get sent to the owner, letting them know that this team will be set to inactive and archived, and then it will be set to be deleted after 5 years. So they can delay that if need be. And the last one is managing your teams with reports. Inside the Teams Administration Center in Office 365, you can see who your active users are and your active teams. You can see by day activity to know who is active and who is not. If you want more information, you can go into PowerShell scripts, and we have quite a few of these built for our customers. And with these, you can get an export into an Excel spreadsheet of all of your teams, who are the owners of these teams, the members, if there are any external members, the total number of channels, total number of documents, the last access date to the team, and also the last access date to the document. So being able to send that information to your team owners will allow them to make better decisions on which teams they do need to archive because they are not being used anymore. So the last part is our use cases. We talked quite a bit about our CIEs that we've done, and some of the things that we've learned through doing these in the last 3 years are every organization needs to find a team's power user. This might be someone that you assign at the beginning, and it might be somebody in your organization that is more technology inclined or detail oriented, has time to do the follow-ups that's needed. Or it might be someone who steps up 30 to 60 days into the implementation and says, hey, Teams is great, but it's so cluttered and we need to clean this up. One example is Katie is our Teams power user. She stays on top of everyone in our technology team, making sure that we are using Teams correctly. There was an instance earlier this week that 2 of our engineers who haven't been in Teams as much were in a Teams having a conversation over a course of 4 hours. And in those 4 hours, some of their statements back and forth were 3 words per sentence, and they use a different chat conversation per instance. So when Katie and I went to it later, it was very hard to follow and understand. And Katie took the initiative to go and read through each of them and combine people's messages into chat conversations. That way, when we went through later and Katie messaged and said, hey, I did a little cleanup, hope this makes sense. Those 50 different entries that they had made were condensed into 3 different chat conversations, and it was much easier to follow. So not only did she clean up our information, she also let the 2 engineers know, hey, this is the correct way that you should be using Teams, and this is how you use the conversation. So now going forward, they are fully understanding how they should be using it. The next example is full team meetings. We've been doing full team meetings quite a bit, and we require video. Without requiring video, people probably would not use it. But the other thing we learned was assigning a moderator to keep people involved, especially if it was a conversation type of meeting that you had on site together. Meaning if everybody gave input, once you get into a web meeting, you find some people mute the button and disappear, and you don't even know if they belong anymore. So having a moderator to keep asking questions and getting people involved makes everybody feel like they're contributing to a meeting. And the last one is using pins. This is a big one for me and several other people I work with. We have lots of documents that we're sharing back and forth, and there's been many instances that I or someone else has asked, hey, where is that document that we were collaborating on last week? I can't remember where we put it. And by using the pin inside the document or a pin inside a channel helps you to quickly find anything that you need later on. So since this was a short webinar, we picked our highlights from this week and last week from our experiences to talk about, but there are many more that we can gladly share. And please reach out and we would gladly start letting you know what they are. So at this time, we would like to take a few minutes to open up for any questions if anybody has any. And feel free to add them to the chat message if you'd like.
Okay, Julie, since we're running long on time, I think I'm going to go ahead and start to wrap up the session.
Sure.
So just a couple of minutes to talk about some of the other resources that we have available that will help you in using Teams and also navigating the times that we have, the times that we're dealing with now. So Katie, if you want to advance the slides. So Andrews has established a COVID-19 resource center. So all of our publications, blog posts as it relates to dealing with coronavirus are now organized in one place. You can also subscribe here so that you can get notifications when we post additional material. And this covers everything the firm publishes, from our tax planning advice to audit, to all of the advisory services. Everything that we put that relates to coronavirus will be added here to the Resource Center. In addition, as I mentioned before, this webinar is being recorded. The first webinar is already up and available, Intro to Microsoft Teams. So that was much more of a basic walkthrough of how Microsoft Teams works. So if you missed that one and maybe were a little confused in this webinar, go back and view that one, and it will give you some insights. In addition to that, there's also a Microsoft Teams Quick Start Guide. Katie's going to post some of these materials into the chat so you can download them before you leave the meeting, or you can access them via the Anders website. We'll also send you an email following this webinar with links to the recording so that you can share that with others if you found this helpful. In addition to that, last week we wrote several blog posts. We wanted to highlight 3 here. The first one specifically focused on Microsoft Teams. So it's a good companion piece to this webinar if you want to go pull that one up and take a look at that one. In addition, we highlighted the top 5 ways your business can leverage technology for remote work. So that is very helpful in terms of outlining some things and considerations that you need to be thinking about. Finally, we developed a remote work technology assessment. So if you're just now starting to convert to work from home or remote work, you may want to take a look at that. It covers a lot of considerations that you should be thinking about. So those posts and others are available on the technology section of the Anders website. In addition to those things will be posted in our COVID-19 Resource Center. So contact information for Julie, Katie, and myself is here. If you have questions, if you need to reach out to us, please do. We'd love to help you. I've also included a link to my LinkedIn profile. I post frequently there about things related to technology, general business, leadership, lots of different things there. So if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, you can do that, but feel free to reach out to us and we would be happy to assist you. So with that, so I think some of the information is going to be posted there. So if you want to log on to the chat side and download that, that will be great. Otherwise, you'll get an email summary after this webinar that will include a link to the recording once we post it on the Anders YouTube channel. So with that, we appreciate it. Thank you very much. Take care and stay safe. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you.